It's SDS SuperCoach, providing SuperCoach content for you. I'm here to present a new style of video here. It's going to be discussion about Carl Amon, Matt Crouch, and Nick Martins. They all seem pretty popular as of late. So I'm here to talk about the pros and cons with them, bit of a 1v1v1 comparison, and how many you should be picking of these sort of players, if you should be picking any of these sort of players. The pros and cons on the players. I'll try to keep this as quick as possible because it's about 12 and I've got to get up in about 6 hours. So I really procrastinated making a video tonight, but here we are. So got a lot of support recently with Twitter and TikTok, and it feels pretty amazing. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you very much. So let's get into it. I haven't done this style of video, but I'll do the best I can. But look, so with Amon, Crouch, and Martin, so what's the reason they're why are they popular at the minute? I think it's pure. I think a reason is with the lack of forward options and the amount of good rookies in the back line. We're actually looking to really load up in the midfield for 2024. That seems to be the current structure as of right now. People are going 5, 6 deep in the midfield, so they're having one or two of these guys in their side to sort of balance it all out. So I guess we can go over some of the reasons here. So look, I guess we'll start off with Carl Amon. So with Carl Amon, the rumors are that he's going to be trolled into defense for the Carl Amon's going to be trolled in the half back line. Now we did see this for 5 games last season, and it worked pretty well. We're looking at 2023. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. But as we can see, there's a few solid scores here, average scores, that sort of thing. But we can see over the last 6 weeks, ever since the transition to the back line, he's delivered a 96, 113, 103, 133, 119, and 76. And that's playing off the half back line. As we can see for besides the last 6 weeks, the scoring has been a bit average here. Some 49, some 111s, real inconsistent scoring. Bar that 76 score, we can see that Amon scores are pretty consistent off the half back line. And Hawthorn are looking to do that again in 2024. As we move on to Matt Crouch, why is he so popular? Can we see the... Oh, yeah, sorry. I should use DFS a lot more, but I'm not too good at technology. So Adelaide needed a bit of change into the midfield. They were going with Ben Keys, that sort of thing, but they wanted a little change. So they threw Matt Crouch into the mix. And ever since he came into the team, Adelaide were performing pretty solidly. And he delivered an 86, 144, 112, 122, 86, and 98, giving him a pretty good chance to be lining up on ball in round 1 for 2024. And now we move into Nick Martin. Now, this situation's a little bit different because, as we can see here, the scores are a bit all over the place. But he's also expected to be training off the halfback as well. So being one of the main ball-dominant players in that back line, which is why people are very interested in him. I'm going to deliver some pros and cons about each player. I've actually written a whole list here. All right, so we'll go to Carl Amon. What are the reasons to why he could be a good pick? Scoring history in the role. Now, I should have showed you in Carl Amon's player summary. Hope you guys can see this. I hope my camera's not in the way, but scoring history in the role. We know what type of scoring we could expect with Carl Amon. We saw in the last 6 weeks of the AFL season where he delivered some pretty good scores. He delivered some really nice, consistent scoring, bar that last round. So there is some history into the role. He's a good ball user. Players are going to look to feed him the ball. They're paying him $700K a year. They're not going to not give him the ball. So he's one of our better ball users as a Hawks man. Every now and then he can have a little stuff up, but you can see why they're moving him to halfback. I'll personally prefer him on the wing as a Hawthorn supporter, but oh well, what can you do? It makes a bit of sense why they're doing this. So that's on his side as well. One of the better ball users in the team. And over the off season, I guess he's been described as a real quarterback type, down back, just getting a lot of the ball, really setting up the play for the Hawks. The Hawks are going to look to play fast-paced footy. So let's get into the negatives about Carl Amon. Sam Mitchell likes moving the magnets around. As a Hawthorn supporter, ever since 2007, since I've started following footy, one thing the past 2 years I've noticed, Sam Mitchell does like to move the magnets around, moves players around. He loves versatility with his players. He loves the versatility. So there is risk that he could be moved back onto the wing and might not play the whole season off halfback because they're trialing CJ and D'Ambrosio on the wing. But what happens if that doesn't work out? And Hawthorn might have again a bit of a poorer year. They could move Amon back to the wing, and then remember as well, Blake Hardwick is training to play forward this season. What if Hawthorn don't have a real lockdown defender down back? Then they're going to look to move Amon back to the wing. They'll swing Hardwick back down in defence. That could be a bit of a worry with Carl Amon. So there's no guarantees he's going to spend the whole season off halfback. Risking also as well, that this halfback role, I think most players can play this, but obviously Amon's is a better ball user, but a lot of players could play this sort of role. Risking DPP. So what if Amon is shifted back onto the wing by round 4 and he delivers you 3 pretty average scores and he doesn't even get you DPP, which is the whole reason you're picking this bloke. So you can get DPP down into defence and he could potentially be a keeper in defence. What if that doesn't happen? So that is a bit of a risk, and more of a risk with Sam Mitchell as his coach, who likes to move the magnets around. And the Sicily impact. I mean, it's all well and good for Carl Amon to be trialling off halfback and potentially being a good option in defence. But you've still got James Sicily there. They're going to rely the most on James Sicily using the ball in defence. I think that's a fact. Like, as long as Sicily's around, they trust him the most with the ball down back. Beautiful kick. And that could still affect Carl Amon a fair bit. Let's go to Nick Martin next. So what about Nick Martin? What are his pros and cons here? So for Nick Martin, the Essendon transition talk seems to be a really strong factor as why people are picking him. Essendon did say in the offseason they want to move the ball a lot faster from defence to attack. And part of the reason of moving Martin into the back line is to help that. So there is a good chance that he's going to be the real conductor in moving the ball from defence to attack a lot quicker, because they didn't really have a bloke last season besides Redmond, I guess, but he isn't really the ball accumulator. He's a massive impact player, but he's not the accumulator that Martin has good potential to be. So that's part of the reason. Taking kick-ins as well. I think a lot of talk has been a lot of kick-ins being taken from Nick Martin, and also being one of Essendon's best players. And as we all know, you want to get the ball in the best player's hands. And Nick Martin is certainly just picked up out of nowhere, and he's been a revelation for Essendon. So I think that's another reason as well. Now, what are the cons for Nick Martin here? There's no scoring history in this role. We have never seen Nick Martin off the half-back line being conductor in defence. We've never seen that. Compared to Carl Amon, where we had 6 games of data, we have no data of Nick Martin going to defence. We don't know how good he's going to go because we've never seen it. Risking DPP, very similar to Carl Amon. Now, the difference with this one is Brad Scott's the coach, who is a little bit more stubborn with keeping players in certain positions. So I think there's not as much risk here with him not getting DPP. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind. And is he bad with ball use? Because I know there's been a bit of talk of him taking kick-ins and this transitional player for Essendon from defence to attack. But there has been a bit of talk that he has fluffed a few kicks during pre-season, but it's pre-season. So But is that a concern? We want players with good ball use. We'll have to wait and well, we can't wait and see because we need more data on this sort of thing. So Martin's certainly one that we need to have a look at in pre-season. Now we'll go on to Matt Crouch. What are his pros and cons? Matt Crouch is the best scorer of the three players here. And I think that's pretty well documented. That Matt Crouch knows how to get the ball in his hands. He's been the best scorer. He's got better scoring history than any of these other two players over a longer period of time, and it's really in the prime of his career. There's no ideal replacement in the Crows midfield for Matt Crouch. There are some talks about Pedler, Rochelle, Rankin, but sounds like little pinch hits. He could be the fly. Piss off, fly. Go away. Annoy the light. Oh my God, this fly. I'll try to ignore it. There's no ideal replacement for Matt Crouch in that midfield, as I was saying. Pedler, Rochelle, Rankin. Sounds like little pinch hits. Like who could be the fourth best? Who could be if Dawson, Laird, or Crouch are on the bench, who could be that fourth midfielder option? Matt Crouch seems at the minute pretty locked in as the third midfielder. No flexibility, purely a midfielder, which is good. I mean, probably not good for the Crows. They wouldn't mind some flexibility, but on a SuperCoach perspective, it's good because he won't play anywhere else other than bloody midfield, unless they move him to the wing or half forward to give others a go. But I highly doubt that. He's purely a midfielder, and that's where he plays his best footy. What are his cons? What are the bad stuff about him? Non-contention for defensive or forward DPP. He's going to be purely a mid for the whole season. And like, to me, that's not a keeper. So, I mean, he could be a good placeholder, and he is good value for what he's capable of. But you're not picking him to be a keeper in defense or the forward line. He's purely going to be a midfielder. There's selection worry. What if Adelaide's midfield's not working out? I could imagine them being 2 and 4, and they need to change up the midfield. Matt Crouch is going to be the one playing twos. That's just how it is. There is a bit of a selection concern with Matt Crouch if the Crows are performing poorly. And the overhandballing, as we can see in the stats here, 26 handballs to 5 kicks, 18 handballs to 8 kicks, 25 handballs to 8 kicks. These two are a bit better, 15 handballs to 7 kicks. You get more points when kicking the ball, but you're still getting pretty solid results. Don't get me wrong, but you do get more points when you're kicking the ball. But in that defense, his disposal efficiency stays pretty high because of the handballing and how much easier it is to hit a player when you're handballing the ball. So what's my overall opinion? I personally reckon, how many should we start? I wouldn't be starting all three. I think you got to choose. Even 2's a bit risky in my book. Me personally, I'm going with one of these 3 options. You guys could go 2 if you. It is a bit risky though. For what it's worth, I wouldn't start Amon and Martin because say you've got Dacos, Sicily, or Stewart, and Hayden Young, or you've got Sicily, Stewart, and Young, and then you're banking on Martin and Amon to get defensive status. You need a little bit more room in that backline to fill in the likes of Sinclair, Tom Stewart, or Sicily. Dacos, if you're not picking him, you need a little bit of wiggle room here in the backline to fit these other blokes in. So I wouldn't be pairing up these two, Martin or Amon. So if you're going to start 2, I think Martin and Crouch, Amon and Crouch makes more sense. Look, for me, I'd probably just go with 1 for now. And look, for me, the pick of the bunch, if I had to rank them, 3, I'm going to go with Matt Crouch. Oh, it's a toss-up between Crouch and Amon, to be honest. But 3, I'll go 3 Crouch, just because it's going to be very tough for him to be a keeper in the midfield. I know he's a good placeholder, but I don't know. Just not my kind of pick, Matt Crouch. He could eventually end up in my side, but you never know. Carl Amon, number 2, just because there's more risk of him being moved back out onto the wing. Number 1, I'm going Nick Martin, just because I really like the sound of Essendon wanting to transition the ball a lot faster from defence to attack, and he can be the main conductor of it. So if I had to rank them, I'd go Martin 1, Amon 2, Crouch 3. That's my opinion, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. It's a tough one. Personally, my preference would be Martin, but pick who you want and who you think will benefit best, in your opinion, with all the pointers I gave you. So let me know in the comments down below what you think on these 3. So I'm sure Joe will be pretty happy I've picked Nick Martin number 1. But thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good night, guys. See ya.